guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I thought I would sit down and play with some new to me makeup and then I guess chit chat a little bit about probably just, you know, a little update on some work stuff. You know, I know you guys were invested for a while and I was talking about my 2 different jobs and I had the poop job and then, you know, the drama that was around that, and I was like, oh, I shouldn't call it poop job anymore and all that kind of stuff. So if you had been following me for all of that and you know that I'm up, you know, in the Northeast with my mom and whatever else, and you want to hear a little bit of an update and then you want to watch me use some new to me makeup, which I probably should introduce because I just kind of went right into the video. So goodness, it's because I take so long in between videos to do these, and then my mouth doesn't want to work when I actually get the chance to sit down. So anyway, let me back it up a little bit. So I put in a purchase. I'd been watching Ensley Reign and I'd been really interested in the products, but I got on and I was like, there ain't no damn way. There is no damn way I am paying $88, $90 for a palette and then paying like $16 shipping. I was like, this is getting out of control. So I've been watching and I'm like, oh, I finally saw, shoot, hold on. Ooh, get my paper. Is it gonna tell me? Oh, it's not. I swear to you, Jeepers Creepers, I must have found somebody that I was watching a video or something and they had an Ensley Reign coupon code, because I was like, ooh, okay, I could do a coupon code. And then when I went on, she actually had the Flower Moon palette. This is the original one and they're discontinuing it, so it was at a reduced price. And I was like, oh shoot, I have no qualms about buying something that is going to be discontinued and at a reduced price. I certainly will. I love a deal. So I was like, let me go ahead and get this Flower Moon palette. Look how pretty it is. Look at those like grungy, murky greens with the pop of pink and the blues, of course, over there. I like the orange. I feel like there's quite a few looks that you could do with this. I haven't watched any videos on this one. I haven't watched any videos on either one of these because I know they're a little older palettes, so you know, I know they're not new to everybody out there, but they're new to me and I really wanted to play. So I really like her packaging. I've heard people always say, you know, how much they think packaging is super cute, the designs are cute. So I really like this one. This is the one I had been eyeballing. I was like, I really want this Strawberry Moon palette, and I was like, I just can't. I think this one was on sale as well, and I just was super excited about it. So I got the one at the discounted, or maybe it's just because I had the coupon code. Look, I feel like it's been so long since I purchased this, and it's been sitting here, and I just can never get down here to film. I have a lot going on, so I can't really remember, and it doesn't tell me on my bill, like it doesn't break it down what I paid. So either way, I was super excited. I got the Strawberry Moon and I was like, how cute is this packaging? So there's so much detail on here, and then when you open it up, I was like, oh, what do we have here? Like, how flipping extra, but like so good is that? I mean, I know it's a lot of people are going to be like, oh my gosh, it's so much packaging, it's so wasteful. I get it. I really appreciated it. I appreciated it because I was like, I don't know where, you know, these are coming from. They didn't get broke. Look how cute that packaging is. Oh, hold on. This dang ring light drives me nuts. But look how pretty that is. I don't know what all that extra like feedback is from the lights on there. I'll turn that back on in a minute. It's getting hot out here. Look how flipping cute this palette is. I've been looking at this palette for a while. I would say it's close to a year, roughly. Look at these colors down here. I am so excited about this. All of these colors, this whole row, all the blues, the turquoises, the yellows. Like, I'm like, ooh, this is so exciting to me. This is so exciting to me. So I really hope I like it. Like I said, it took me a long time to finally bite the bullet, and I was like, I can't imagine, you know, so many people are doing these, and this is the frustrating thing to me is so many people get these as PR, and then they're like, oh my gosh, look at this, look at this, look at this. And I'm like, some of these palettes are just getting out of control with the prices. And I know like the prices of things are going up, and like I understand that, but I don't know, because there's a lot of companies, okay, I had to turn the light back on. There's a lot of companies that are still doing things, and they're making their palettes affordable, and I'm not on that end of it, so I can't wholeheartedly speak on it and say, hey, it should be this price because of this, or wherever they're sourcing it from, like what the difference is there. I haven't done enough research on it. I have never made a palette. I've never, you know, designed or made or any of that, or had one manufactured or anything of the sort. So I can't really wholeheartedly speak on it, but me as a consumer, it's a lot. And I am a very large makeup consumer. So when I look at a palette and I'm like, oh, all these YouTubers are like, oh my gosh, this palette by Ensley Reign. And I'm not trying to like rag on Ensley Reign. I'm not trying to, you know, get on them. I'm just saying why it took me so long, because the palettes are super expensive. So point being, if you want to watch me use the palette, I totally understand. I am not saying go buy these palettes. I'm not, you know, whatever. It's just, I kept watching the website. So maybe that's what I'm, maybe that should be the point of this whole thing, is if there is a palette that you really want and you've been watching said creator or whoever, and you're like, or company, and you're like, I really want that palette, you know, keep watching. A lot of the times they have these palettes, and eventually they will go on sale, or a coupon code will come up, or something of that sort. So you don't always have to run out and get something as soon as it's released. Sometimes there are the random few that are like, oh, a limited release, and they make everybody think that they have to jump on it right then and there, and you know, that gets frustrating too. But just a side note, I've been looking at these, and it's okay. These are older, and it's okay to purchase palettes that you've been watching and you're like, hey, this isn't the newest hip thing. Purchase it because you want it, and purchase it because you're going to use it, and purchase it hopefully with a coupon. Okay, so there's my little soapbox. But I did get this cute little, I think it's a sticker, and I'm not really sure which way it goes. Flower or what, but it was super cute, and I kind of like tucked it away because I was like, I don't know where I want to put that. And then I was like, well, I'm not even really sure. I think it goes like that. What I want to do with it, but I thought it was a cute little sentiment to put in there. So anyway, I think I'm really going to play, I really want to play with this, so I think I'm going to go ahead and use the Strawberry Moon palette. So if you want to watch me use this palette and chit chat a little bit about probably mainly work drama, because there's a lot of it, then just keep watching. I don't want to come in too close, because I feel like all the time I'm like this. So anyway, I hope that is close enough. Again, we're just hanging out. And playing with some makeup. I do feel like I should go back and do the Kaima, the new Bougie Boudoir palette again, because I feel like I did not, whoa, I feel like it is so Monday today. I'm so over it. I feel like I didn't do it justice, because I've used it a couple times since then doing my makeup to go out, and I'm like, this is just so pretty. And when I go outside, like the way the sun catches on it, I'm like, oh, that's so gorgeous. So anyway, you know, I try not to get on here and like complain or do these things, but you know what? People are wild. People are 1000% wild. I just, you know, I always wonder about people, and I'm like, hey, you know, how is it there's people in this world that have like so many friends, and they go out and do all these things, and they're just like, oh my gosh, we're like, you know what I mean? You're like hanging out in groups of like 10, 20 people. Like, how? Because I start to have like people that I'm like, oh, maybe I could consider you a friend, but maybe I'm just too, I can't keep a superficial like relationship maybe. So if like we're gonna be friends, I want to know about you, I want to talk about things, and then I feel like I start to trust you, and then you can trust me, because I think I expect too much of myself and other people. Maybe that's what it is. I saw that quote recently, and I was like, maybe that is that. Maybe that's what that means. I kind of want to go in I'm gonna go in with this Snapdragon color down here. So anyway, you know, I left quote unquote poop job, and you know, I was told when I left, this does have a mirror, just so you know. I was told you'll have a job when you come back. I even called on my last day and said, hey, you want me to drop off my badge? No, you'll need it in a few months when you come back. I've been gone probably 6 weeks. I am in my last 4.5 weeks here. So I have 4.5 more weeks here before I plan to return home, you know, with my family. My family has been coming up to see me. The 9-year-old was here with me for a little bit. Like, she stayed. The 4-year-old couldn't. He had to go back. He was just too much for the 9-year-old and my mom to keep an eye on. It's not that he was being bad. He just requires more. You know, he requires more energy, more attention. I forgot my sponge, so I'm just going to get this paper towel, but I don't think it's going to clean this brush as well as my dry sponge. And I forgot it, but we're going to make do with this. That is really pretty. So I'm going to use, I feel like I want to use this color here, this Lithia. And you guys know, I just need to do my makeup and keep talking. So anyway, my family has been coming to visit me and stay here and whatever. So we've been kind of going back and forth. So it's not like I haven't seen my family. I went home for Father's Day weekend. It was wonderful. I was so excited to see everybody and be in my bed, and I like appreciated my house and all that. So anyway, I'm like in my last month, and as you all know, I left the outpatient job. I took like a leave of absence from there, and then, you know, the nursing home job that I referred to as poop job, the closer job, whatever. I started to get to the point where I was like, wow, like everybody here, you know, we all get along. It's a good staff. Like, I'm going to consider coming back here full time, like when I return, because, you know, I need just a full-time job at one spot, get benefits, you know, that whole thing, instead of going back and forth between, you know, 2 jobs. So I was like, let's, you know, be an adult. Let's get the full-time. Let's look at benefits and things like that. So I was told, when you leave, don't bring your badge back. You're going to have your job. Not a big deal. Last week, I ended up, so once I left, the company that I worked for and went PRN with lost the contract in the building. So a new company acquired the building. We all kind of knew this was coming. I talked to my boss at said job before I left, and I said, hey, I know you have a lot going on. I really do. But do you think maybe you could talk to them and let them know that, hey, I have this physical therapist. She's going out of town for X amount of time. She will be back. Can we go ahead and like sign her on? He was like, oh, absolutely. Because if I don't mention you, it's going to look like I don't do my job. Because no PTs have wanted to work in this building for well over a year. Like, they couldn't find anybody. I'd been doing this job part-time with like a couple PRN therapists, you know? So I was like, you guys need me. Nobody else wants to work here, blah, blah, blah. He was like, I got it. I'll talk to them. Well, a couple weeks in, you know, I keep reaching out to him and I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, what is happening? I think I want to go in with Poppy here. I'm like, what is happening? He's like, oh, hey, this looks kind of spongy dipping into it. So let's see. He's like, hey, you know, the regional person, this is her name. She's going to be reaching out to you. I feel like this being spongy, this big chunk right here, makes me nervous. I don't want that falling into my eye. He's like, she's gonna reach out to you, you know, yada, yada, yada. So I'm like, okay, I tried to give him time because I'm like, you know what, they're changing over companies. I'm sure they're changing a lot of things. The computer systems are all jacked up. Like, their staff there. Well, then I start hearing from, you know, their staff. They're like, hey, they hired us all. This is great, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, I'm still here waiting to hear. And I'm like, hey, this regional person has never reached out to me. Like, was she supposed to reach out to me? Damn it, I didn't bring my spray down here. Do I want to run and get it? So many steps. I am over stairs. There's like 15 steps here, and I live in a 1-story, and yesterday I had to help my best friend clean a 3-story townhome for like her business because she owns her own cleaning business, and I help her when she needs it. And I was like, sure, I'll do this. And she's like, oh, it's a 3-story townhouse. I was like, oh, like up, down, all the way up, all the way down, halfway up, halfway down, halfway up, all the way up. Oh my gosh, I went up and down so many stairs yesterday. I was like, ah. So hold on, let me go grab my spray. Whew, I ran. Anyway, so I'm over stairs, but anyway, I'm gonna pick up a little bit more of that color and get it wet, and I just so happened to grab my sponge. So anyway, I helped her yesterday. But back to the story. So we're kind of back and forth. I'm like, hey, this lady hasn't reached out to me, like, what's the deal? And he's like, oh, she was supposed to come Friday, she didn't come, I'll let you know. So it's like he keeps blowing me off and saying, I'll let you know, I'll let you know, I'll let you know. I'm like, okay, you're literally not letting me know anything. Like, and everybody, you know, I reach out to a couple coworkers and they're like, oh, well, just come back anyway. And I'm like, I just can't show up and be like, here I am for work, and I don't even work for the company. Like, what? I think I'm gonna go in with Oasis here. So I'm like, I can't just like show up, guys. Like, that's not how that's gonna go. So when I went home for, ooh, that's so pretty. When I went home for Father's Day, I stopped in and talked to one of my coworkers, and she's like, go over his head. And I was like, no, I'm not going over his head. I was like, how awkward is that? You go over the boss's head and you reach out to somebody who he won't give you their contact information. You know what I mean? Like, so I started like really thinking way too much into it, and I was like, if he wanted me to reach out to this lady, he would have given me her contact information, not just keep telling me, oh, I'll let you know, I'll let you know, I'll let you know. And I'm like, this is so weird. So on my way home for Father's Day, my husband was like, hey, reach out to him. So I reach out to my boss and I'm like, hey, do you have time for coffee while I'm in town? Or do you have time for coffee? You know, just meet up for coffee. Because I thought, okay, well, maybe if I just meet with him and we sit and chit chat, like, he can fill me in on what's going on, and then we can get a game plan. I had already messaged him and said, hey, here's my timeline. My last day is going to be this day. I need to start work this day. Like, what are we doing here? And he's just like, oh, I'll let you know, I'll let you know, whatever. Well, he ends up not answering my text. Like, just blows me off the whole weekend. I stop in to see my coworker. She's like, go over his head. And I'm like, no, that's really awkward. Like, I'm not just going to go over his head. So anyway, what do? I get home, I get on for the new company, and I'm looking at their website, and they have a position posted. I'm going to go in with Lagoon. They have a position posted for another building that's like 25 minutes away, but it's part-time PRN. So I reach out, I get an email, and they're like, hey, you've been shortlisted. Go ahead and like answer this, verify your license, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, this is interesting. So the next morning, I get a text message from this lady, and she's like, hey, I really want to talk to you, blah, 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 whatever. So I'm like, I'll just step outside because we were having a hard time like scheduling something just because I had a lot going on, whatever. I'm like, I step outside. I'm like, yeah, I got a few minutes. And she's like, hey, I don't even really need to do an interview with you because I see you worked at the other building, and I already talked to the rehab director there, and he gave you an amazing, like, he gave you an amazing recommendation. She's like, so I don't even need to go over like anything formal. And I was like, well, you know, honestly, I said, I'm out of town. And I said, the whole thing is I was supposed to come back and have a full-time position at that other building. And she was like, oh. She's like, well, as of right now, she said, they're fully staffed, so they don't have a spot for you. I was like, oh, excuse me, Miss Ma'am, what? Here I've been texting him for weeks, and he's blowing me off, and come to find out, all of a sudden, he's fully staffed. So this is like 9 in the morning, and I'm talking to this lady. 2 in the afternoon, I get a text from my boss, who didn't answer me all weekend about having coffee or meeting up or discussing anything, randomly texts me and says, well, not randomly, but texts me and says, hey, by the way, I gave you a great review. You'll really like the RD at that building. She's great. She used to work here years ago. What? You want, am I supposed to thank you? Is that what we're talking about here? Oh, I was hot. I was so mad because I'm like, what the absolute flip-flop? Like, what the absolute flip-flop? Like, I am supposed to have a job when I come back. I am up here dealing with my mom, going back and forth between palliative care, hospice, her not wanting to do dialysis. Like, it is a lot, and he knew why I was up here. Like, to me, that's like, do people not have any ounce of compassion in them anymore to be like, man, I really need to secure her job. Like, she's going through a lot up there. No, they fucking don't. They don't. So I'm all pissed off. You know, and I'm talking to my husband. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Now I need to try to find a job when I come home. Blah, 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 blah. You know, just fired up. What do I want to do? I really want to see what this looks like. So I think I'm going to go in with this color and then go in with this color on the bottom. So I'm just so fired up. So I slept on it, and the next morning I was like, you know what? No, I'm not texting you back, and I'm not thanking you for your whatever recommendation. So I text him, you know, because he's like, oh, I gave you a great recommendation, or a great whatever it is they give. I can't even think. I'm so irritated. So he's like, that's what he texted me. So I'm like, you know what? I texted back and I said, what I needed was my job back, like we had discussed before I left. Not a PRN job at some other building 25 minutes away. This building was literally like 3 minutes around the corner. I thought we had everything like put together. So I'm like, no, what I needed from you was my old job back. And I said, and if that wasn't the case, I just needed you to be honest and upfront with me and tell me this weeks ago, not hear it from somebody else that you're fully staffed. So you haven't had a position for me for weeks and you knew it. He writes back and tries to tell me, well, I didn't know this person lived here and he lives right in the next town over. That's why he wants to be here. And I'm thinking, none of these people applied when it was the other company. Now all of a sudden you're acting like all these people want to work there, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I was so pissed off. So whatever. He's like, well, I didn't know the company was sending them in. And I'm thinking, it is like June 21st. You've known for the past 20 days. The guy showed up on June 1st. It is June 21st. You were just going to keep letting it go, and not actually tell me like, hey, I don't have a job for you, even though I said, hey, here's my timeline. I need a job to be able to come home. Like, I want to go home. Oh, I was so mad. And I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, I am pissed off because I should not have trusted him. I should have known better. And I'm more mad at myself that I actually allowed myself to believe in somebody and to trust somebody. So that's that. I got screwed. I have no job to go home to at the moment. I'm going to put a little bit here because I don't know. I kind of like that, but I really like that. That is so flippin' pretty. I'm just going to soften the edge a little bit, and then I'm going to move on to the other eye. So anyway, I'm mad at me. I just have a lot going on, a lot of emotions with everything else going on. So I just got super butthurt and was like, what the hell? Like, I really honestly thought I was just going to have a job to come home to, and now I don't. And now I'm doing all these interviews because now I don't know what I want to do. And the jobs I am interviewing with, I'm like, hey, send me your benefits package. I'm like, what is this? What the hell is our health insurance in our world right now? They're like, oh, for an individual, you get a $2,000 to $3,000 deductible depending on which plan. And then once you meet your deductible, then you still have to pay, you know, you still have that maximum out of pocket, which is actually $5,000. And then on top of that, so if you meet your deductible, after you meet your deductible or your max like out of pocket, whatever, you're still responsible for 80 to 90% coinsurance. Excuse me, why am I paying you $200 a month? What, $2,400 a year to just turn around and pay 90% of XYZ procedure I may need? Or blood work or whatever? Like, I'm still responsible for 80 to 90% of that? What the hell am I paying you for? That's absolutely asinine. Like, I'm like, there's no way. That is shitty insurance. That's shitty insurance for anybody, but it's super shitty insurance to be a healthcare worker, and that's the insurance that you're offered through a health company. Like, that is ridiculous. Those were the only options. I was like, this is bullshit. Sat on top of it. So I'm doing all that. I've got a couple interviews. Pray for me. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to figure it out. I always do. I know this is a safe space to vent and just fill you guys in, but just so you know, it's been so hard to be able to sit down, but the moments I do get to sit down and do my makeup, it really brings me a sense of a little bit of peace, except right now because I'm telling you guys what's going on. I'm getting all fired up, but you know what I mean? But anyway, I'm okay. I'm okay. I just get a little animated. I really like that. That is really pretty. Let's move on. So job now. You've been hanging out with this OT, not hanging out with her, but like at work, she's super high strung. She's very like flaps around in the morning. Now when I mean flaps around, somebody that's like very anxious, very high energy, and she's like flapping around the office. She's banging things, like her water bottles are banging against the countertops, and when she types, she's like this on her computer. Like she's so loud. So loud. Do I say anything? That's not me. I'll either leave or I'll just sit there and try to manage with it. I just let her do her thing because I'm like, she's just so super unaware. Whatever. I kind of want to go in with these colors down here and do like a blue and a berry, but then I'm kind of like, should I use the gold? Ooh, I know what I'm going to do. Ooh, let's do this. I'm going to go in with this one, and then probably this one, and then I'm going to pick some kind of gold in there. But I'm just going to keep working through it and talking. So she's in there flapping around like she normally does. You know, sometimes she's like, hey, do you want to come help me with this eval? And I'm always like, like, not a super huge fan because she talks really loud, and sometimes these patients seem to get very flustered with her, but I'm like, you know what, I'm only here for a limited time, like whatever, let me just shut up and just get through my day. So that's kind of like the mental space I'm in, is just let me just shut up and get through my day. I do like the other two co-workers that I have, the assistants that are there, like they're really nice. I can, you know, talk to them, but I don't always get to work with them. So it's just a small staff of 1, 2, 3, 4 people, 4 women, and then the boss. The one is a speech therapist. I don't see her often because she's only there Tuesdays and Fridays. Okay, so anyway, this OT is flopping around doing her thing. She's all turned up, and like I just got in there. I'm trying to go through the person's like hospital paperwork, and she's getting all like fired up going on about them, and she was like, I'm ready to go see him. I'm like, well, go ahead and go. Like, I just got in here. Like, I need time to read over the stuff for myself. Like, I can't just listen to you just yammering on about it, because you're not always she's not always telling me like pertinent things that I need to hear. So this guy actually had like hip surgery and a wrist surgery. So I wanted to read specifically on the hip, you know, because OT would do like the wrist. I read on it. I got the gist. But like, I was really trying to dig into the different procedure, blah, 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 what hardware they used, XYZ. So I'm like really reading on the stuff, whatever. She goes down to see this person and then comes back, and she's got kind of an attitude. She's like, oh my gosh, he just wants to talk. And I'm like, well, he's a patient. Like, you know, I'm thinking you gotta be, you know, mindful of that. And she's like, oh, he just wants to tell me everything that happened. And I'm like, I think to myself, like, he's the patient. He should be able to tell you. Well, apparently she got a little snippety and was like, I told him I already knew what was going on because I read his chart. And I was like, oh, okay, like that, okay, we don't do that, but you know. And I'm just letting her do her thing because it's not my job to tell her how to be. But I'm just sitting there like thinking to myself, what the hell is happening? Like, she's never been this like turned up, right? So she's flapping around. She comes in, she sits down, and she's banging on her keyboard. Like, she's so loud when she types, she's like banging on it. So she's steady talking, and she's just saying things that aren't relevant. I'm trying to read, like what I'm doing, I'm trying to read, and I guess I was like, oh my, like I can't focus. So I'm like really quietly like, patient ambulated, you know, in my little corner. And she has the nerve to turn around, look at me and say, excuse me. She's like, I don't mean to be rude, but I can't. She's like, I can't with you over there talking to yourself. And I was like, what? And she was like, she's like, I just really don't mean to be rude. She's like, but I just really cannot with you over there talking to yourself. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me right now. Like, she's been over there banging on things and being all out all morning and steady talking and in and out and all these things. And I'm over here quietly whispering to myself. And I said, you know what? I said, well, honestly, I am really trying really hard over here to stay focused. And I honestly can't with you. I said, so I think it's a little bit of both of us. Oh, you do? And she gets all pissed off, grabs all of her stuff, and storms out of the office. And I am left sitting there with my jaw on the floor like, what the hell just happened? Like, that was like a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. And I just sat there, and then my other coworker comes in, she's like, what's the matter? And I tell her, and she starts laughing. And I'm like, why are you laughing? And she's like, oh, that's just her, that's how she is. And I was like, shit, I haven't seen this yet, and I've been here, what, 6 weeks or more? I was like, I haven't seen this. And she's like, yeah, that's her. She's like, why do you think I just don't talk to her? And I was like, now I know. Now I know. So then the other therapist comes in, and the other one that just talked to me starts laughing, and she's like, oh, Sarah got a taste of so-and-so. And she was like, oh no, what happened? So it turned into like a to-do. But hold on a second, my viewfinder died. Okay, sorry, a little technical difficulty. My viewfinder died, and I could not find my second battery. So I finally found it. So I got a little juice in that one. It's probably gonna die again, but I have the other one charging. So anyway, she storms out. I never talked to her. I'm like, what in the world? So I'm like, whatever, I'm gonna be the bigger person here. So I'm in the room with this person we had to do the evaluation on. So I hear her coming down the hall with her cart, like her desk. And I opened the door and I was like, hey, you know, do you wanna come in and see the patient while I have him sitting on the edge of the bed? She throws her hands in the air, slaps her thighs, gives a whole like, ah, like in the hallway, and takes off. And then the patient's like, well, what's going on? And I was like, I'm not really sure. I said, I'm not sure what she's into for her day. So I'm sitting there and I have to make up a lie to cover up her poor behavior. And I'm like, we're not doing this. We are not. I'm not doing it. I really want to use, do I want to use gold and blue? I think I'm going to go in with this because I really want to see what this looks like. So I'm like, we are not doing this. Like, I am not making excuses for your absolutely ridiculous behavior. So then she comes in and, you know, I tell her, oh, he did XYZ, blah, 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 whatever, just to kind of give her, because that's what we'll do. We'll, like, brief each other on, like, what they're doing for, you know, my discipline. So I'm like, this is how I transferred. He got up, took a couple steps, XYZ. So she goes on, she just flat out ignores me. And then it goes on to work with the patient, and I'm like, okay, I just blow it off because I'm like, okay, whatever, she's just gonna get the information she needs, you know, not a big deal, whatever. And then she proceeds to ask the patient to get up and take more steps. And I was like, I said he just did that, I just told you how he did it. And she was like, I didn't see it for myself, and like snaps at me. And I was like, this woman is 58 years old. 58 years old. She should know better. You don't act like that in front of a patient. I said, okay. I quietly grabbed all my stuff and I just walked out. I just walked out of the room. I was like, I cannot with this. I'm gonna go in with this gold color. I just went in with this one. Now I'm gonna go in with this one. I was like, I cannot with this behavior. So whatever, I don't even know what day this was. I think this was like a Monday. That's right. And the other assistant wasn't there. So when she came in the next morning, that's when the one started laughing, and she was like, oh, what happened? These look very similar. I kind of figured that was gonna happen. She was like, oh, what happened? And she's, you know, the other woman starts laughing, and she's like, oh, Sarah got a taste of so-and-so, you know, whatever. And she's like, oh my gosh. So then she's like, not you too. And then she tells us about something that apparently happened on Friday. And that turned into a to-do. And then they were like, you're going to have to tell the boss. And I'm like, I really don't want to get involved in any of this drama. I'm not really trying to tattletale on a 50-some-year-old woman, but you can't be acting like that in front of patients. Apparently she had an outburst in front of a patient on like that Friday. And I was like, this is just too much for me. This is too much. I'm at home dealing with bullshit. I go to work and deal with bullshit. I'm not even at my other job and dealing with bullshit. I'm like, I am over the bullshit. There's so much bullshit going on. I'm gonna go in Well, I used Awaken out here already. So I didn't really give myself an option for like a deeper outer corner because I already went in with this one here to do a wing. So I think I might leave that. I'm gonna put a little bit more of that gold, that Peruvian lily. I'm gonna come out a little bit more, get a little better blend, and I think I'm just gonna do a really big wing on that one when I do. Let me get a little bit of this darker turquoise, get a better blend. I think I'm just gonna do a bigger wing when I do my eyeliner on that one. I think for underneath, I'm gonna go in with this green. Looks really pretty, so I think I'm gonna use a combo of these two under my eye. So anyway, it ended up turning into a big to-do. Had to have, you know, had to tell the boss what was going on, and she's like, oh, whatever. And she's claiming that corporate's like, oh, we can't find any help, so you can't fire her. And I'm like, dear Lord, like, you can get away with blowing your cap in front of patients and not lose your job because we're shorthanded in, you know, every aspect of everywhere in the medical field and every other kind of job, I'm assuming. So I'm like, this is just so crazy to me that the world is like this at this point. Like, you just, people aren't being held accountable for their behavior. So anyway, I don't even know what happened after that. We talked to the boss, kind of gave her, you know, hey, this is what happened. She's like, write a statement. And I'm like, I have not written a statement. But then I get a message from the boss later that afternoon, and she's like, hey, can I see you before you leave? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, what the heck? Come to find out, this said therapist that exploded on me for whispering to myself apparently requested to have a meeting with the boss. And so the boss was like, oh, hey, I don't like confrontation at all, so I'm just gonna come right out and say it, but if you have a problem with me or anything I do, I'm gonna need you to tell me. And I was like, excuse me? And she's like, well, she wanted to talk to me, and she sat in here and told me that all you guys do nothing but complain about me, and you don't know what I do, and XYZ, and that you have all these issues. And I'm like, are you kidding me? It was like the only thing I've complained about. I said I might have come in one day and had a whole bunch of evals, but then I only had like 5 hours worth of work, and I might have just made a comment, but I never said, oh my gosh, the boss doesn't know what she's doing. I was like, that was just me complaining out loud about the ins and outs of like everyday BS that some days you come in and you have to deal with. I said, but I at no point complained about you specifically and was like, oh my gosh, the boss doesn't know what she's doing and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, well, I didn't think you did. She's like, but I just wanted to address it, and I'm going to address it with everybody because she said it's all of you. And I'm like, I highly doubt she said it's all of us. So she's like, just going on. She's like, just reach out to me, you know, if we can keep open communication. And I'm like, sitting there like, what the fuck? Like, this is really what I have to come in and deal with, is this freaking like nutty ass 58-year-old that doesn't know how to control her emotions for whatever freaking reason. And like, she's gonna sit here and then turn around and lie and make it out like I've been complaining about the boss for weeks and I haven't said shit. I may have complained one day that I asked for a day off, and she told me, oh, I'll see what I can do. And I was like, it's 6 weeks in advance. I'm asking for a day off 6 weeks from now. And she told me, well, I might be able to do it, but you might have to work the Saturday or Sunday before or after. I may have, I think I said that, but that's not anything to be like, oh, she's in here talking about you. What? So, bullshit. That's what I've been dealing with, is a pile of bullshit. So, this looks fun. I love it. I'm gonna hop off. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up my makeup, and I'll be right back. So here is the finished looks. I love them. Let me go ahead and close, or cover my one eye, I should say. And then I'll go ahead and cover the other eye. Super beachy, fun. Kind of reminds me of my nails. So a little bit of inspo there. I went ahead and used, what are these? The ColourPop Cream Gel Liner. I know there's always a lot to say, so I used this yellow one and I used this blue one. The blue one is Crystal Crush, and then the yellow one is Punch. So I used Crystal Crush and then the yellow one Punch. It mixed a little bit with the green. And then I used this new lip combo, the NYX lip pencil in Nude Beige. So I used that. And then I haven't really purchased like lipstick. I get annoyed paying for lipstick because I'm like, so expensive. There's no reason. But I wanted something really pale, really light. And honestly, I am having a very hard time finding something very pale, very light nude neutral. And this is the closest I could find. And this is MAC, the Creme de Nude lipstick. It looks darker, but I went into Ulta because I haven't been able to do that forever, really. So it's kind of nice. I went into Ulta and I swatched a bunch of lipsticks, and I was like, okay, this is light like I'm looking for after I compared it to a bunch of other options. Look, I'm sweating. It's hot out here. So anyway, let me go ahead and zoom out just a little bit. I don't even know where I left off with my little story. I just know she had it to do, and then she lied to the boss, and I'm like, I'm done. Like, I'm not dealing with this nonsense. And then oh, that's right. So there was a Thursday, I was at work and I was like, I'm not even sitting in here. Like, it's really hot in this office. The freaking air conditioning in the building just does not work right. It's been so hot here. It's like in the 90s, like 97 the other day, heat index. It's a lot. I ended up finding my mom's like old best friend, the neighbor, like she was outside when I got home the other day and was in like a full-blown like Alzheimer's like dementia moment, and I had no idea she had Alzheimer's or dementia. Like, nobody's mentioned it, so I had to deal with all of that one afternoon after work, and it was just, it was a lot. It was a lot to watch. It was a lot to see because nobody knew for like sure, but it was sad. It was sad. So anyway, it was a Thursday. I was at work and I kept going into like another room. So I was like, I'm not sitting in here and listening to her banging on her computer. Like, I just can't deal with it anymore. Like, I've had it. Like, I'm not putting up with it, whatever. I'm not making small talk for like no reason. So I went and sat in the other room, and when I came back into the office to plug in my computer to leave it for the night, she was the only one left in the office. I come in on Friday. I had to get to work really early Friday because the boss wanted to leave early to have everybody go to lunch together. So I had to come in really early, work for a bit, and then leave to come to my parents to have a meeting at the house with my mom's like nurse that was coming in to see her. So we had to have like a whole to-do, like I had a whole meeting, like, so it was just a lot back and forth Friday. And I get in really early. I'm the first one there, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I know I plugged in my computer and somebody had pulled the wire out and left it like right next to the computer as if they just pulled it out. I turned it on, it's like critically low. So at that point I couldn't go anywhere with my computer. I couldn't take it with me into a patient's room to, you know, do documentation while I was working with them because the battery was like completely depleted. And I was like, who would unplug my computer? And I'm like, I wonder who was in here last night. And she takes the cord all the time, but normally gives it back or whatever. So I'm like, I can't believe she would unplug this and not plug it back in and leave my computer to die. Like, what? Like, how freaking immature can you be? So she comes in and she's like, oh, good morning. And I said, hey, I said, by any chance, did you unplug my computer last night? And she was like, no. And then just refused to talk to me the rest of the morning. Really? That's what we're gonna do? But anyway, it was stupid. And then I said something to the other therapist. I was like, hey, you were here when I left. Did you by any chance have to unplug my computer for anything? And she was like, why? And I said, because I came in this morning and my computer was dead. And she was like, rolled her eyes and shook her head. And I said, what? And she was like, I know what happened. And I said, oh, I bet I know what happened too. And she said, yeah, I'll get with you later. And I said, you probably don't need to because I can see it on your face. So you're probably thinking the same thing I'm thinking. So I probably already know what happened. But we ended up not being able to get together, and she didn't work today. So I'll get the scoop on what she has to say tomorrow. But I'm like, what petty effing bullshit. Like, this is what pisses me off, because I was finally at the point at Poop Job where we had such a good staff. Like, nobody fought, nobody bickered, nobody did dumb stuff, nobody had an attitude. Everybody was like happy, pleasant, and we dealt with like the undoing, you know, the doings of the facility. But at least us in the therapy department were all good. And now I'm just mad that I don't have that to go back to. Maybe I would have stayed an extra day that Monday. It was the Monday after Mother's Day when the new company came in. I would have stayed that day. I wouldn't have left on Friday. I would have stayed Monday and secured my job for when I came home. But no, I trusted my boss. So anyway, that is that. I really like this palette. I'll fill you guys in on the other drama. Just in case you were wondering, I'm sorry, I'm not usually like this on camera and I don't like it because I don't like crusty feeling. But I just wanted to fill you guys in. If you feel crusty, but I think it's because I'm hot too. It's very hot out here. It's getting very humid. Like, you can see how moist, but I mean, come on guys, look at this Cover FX like face I have on. It is really doing it for summertime stuff. I am going to a baseball game on Wednesday. That should be fun. My friend wants to go to a Major League Baseball game. She's like, I haven't been since I was a kid. And she's like, I want to eat a hot dog. I was like, girl, I can make you a whole pack of hot dogs for less than what you're gonna pay for the hot dog. And she's like, nope, I want to go sit and have a hot dog at the ballpark. And I'm like, okay, I'll go. I'll come have a $30 hot dog and a $20 beer, or vice versa. $30 beer and a $20 hot dog. I don't know. Anyway, I am enjoying spending time with my family. I got to spend time with my sister and my nephew, so that's been really good. I'm spending time with my mom. There is good stuff happening here. I just wanted to fill you on the dumb work stuff. There is good stuff happening. Spending time with my mom, spending time with my sister and my nephews. You know, getting to do things with my best friend and her family. And then my family's coming up this weekend because we're having a big party at my friend. Well, my friend's having a big party where she invites different families. And they rent like the big blow up slide and we all pitch in money. We all bring food and whatever. So I think it's going to be good to have the kids up here and just have some fun. Have some fun. The last time they were up here, one of our dogs hurt their back and we had to do a whole to-do. And we had to spend the morning in the vet ER. Like, it's just been a summer. Not just a lot, but I do appreciate you guys. I am really sorry that I haven't been posting more frequently. I really honestly thought, like, being up here in these weeks when I don't have kids, that I was gonna have all this time to like be able to do videos and do these things, and I'm like, that is not the case at all. I am constantly running. I'm going to the grocery store, I'm cooking for my parents, I'm doing laundry. I haven't done much with cleaning the house, but I need to. You know, I've done things here and there. I've tried to help a little bit with yard work stuff, but it's like in between traveling, you know, we went to take my mom to see her brother. We're going back up there again, so that should be exciting. And what else? I'm going to the ball game. We're having that party. And then only be a couple more weeks and I'm going to be heading home, and that's a whole ordeal as it is because my mom's like, I don't want you to leave, I want you to be here, and I understand that, but my kids are like, I want you to come home. So I am really stuck between a rock and a hard place right now. So anyway, I do find moments of peace when I get to play with my makeup, so I'll probably post some stuff on Instagram because I really did play with the Kaima Cosmetics palette, the Bougie Boudoir one, and it is beautiful. I'll see if I did take pictures of myself the 2 times that I have used it since that video, and I just really think it's beautiful. And I read somewhere that she is thinking of making that permanent, so I really hope it comes back, and I hope it comes back quickly. I am also waiting on my Clarity Cosmetics shipment to come in, and then I also ordered from Simply Posh Cosmetics, but they're not even going to ship out until like mid-July, so I'm not even going to get those. I'm like, this is silly. I hate pre-orders, but I don't know. I really wanted that palette. I've been waiting on that, the Punch palette and then the Coastal palette, so I'm really excited about those. And then I ordered Cosmic Brush's new palette, so they should be here hopefully within the next couple weeks before I leave. Clarity's palette should be here maybe next week, so hopefully next week I can sit down and do a video with those. But anyway, I still have the Flower Moon palette. If you guys have either of these palettes, or if you have an Ensley Reign palette that you absolutely love, let me know. If you're like, boo, or you're like, hey, I agree with you, it's expensive, like, let's talk about that. I love talking to you guys. I love interacting. It gives me, you know, time to just switch gears and just get submerged in something else for a little bit, you know what I mean? I love it. I enjoy it. So thank you. I hope all of you are well. I hope your families are well, and I hope things are going good for you. I hope you're enjoying your summertime. Yeah, if there's anything that you want to see, if you're like, hey, bring that palette out and do XYZ, just let me know and I'll write it down and hopefully I can get to it. I promise. It's just, a lot right now, but I will get to these things, okay? All right, guys, I appreciate you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day or evening or whenever you're watching this.